We are now live. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the first SACRE meeting in this municipal year. I'm Shirley, I'm your clerk, and the first item on the agenda is election of chair. Can I have some nominations, please?
Can I nominate Ed Hall, please?
Ed Hall, and that's been seconded. Are there any other nominations?
Ed as well.
Right. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
So Ellen's got her hand up over.
Oh, no, I was just agreeing it.
Just agreeing.
Thank you very much. Ed, seat.
Oh, well,
Now I've got the
very much. I think as my first thing I'll do as chair is thank Marie for all the hard work and her incredible efficiency over the last few years. I've been deputy chair throughout Marie's oversight of SACRE, and I've not once had to step in because she's always been here and she's always been prepared. So thank you very much.
Yes, I did. Well done.
The next item on the agenda is election of deputy chair. So do we have nominations for deputy chair or anyone willing to put themselves forward?
Can I nominate Anne?
So we need a seconder.
Seconded.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other nominations? Well, I think we can welcome Anne as the new deputy chair.
Thank you. Well, I hope you follow the good example of your predecessor. Make it so that I never have to step up. Thank you.
So welcome and introductions then. Next item on the agenda, and I'm going to ask everyone to introduce themselves. I think we'll start within the chamber and then we'll go online afterwards. So I'm Edward Hoyle, and I'm humanist on the Other Faiths panel. And I would particularly like to welcome all those new members who will hopefully introduce themselves in a moment. So I'll move to my left, Anne.
I'm Anne Easter. I'm a priest in the Church of England, working at the East Ham team here, and I'm the Commissioner for Interfaith Engagement for the Council. And now Deputy Chair. Ooh! Thank you.
Hey, hi everyone, I'm Ross Payton and I am the Prevent Education Officer for Newham in the Council.
Thank you. Aisha.
Hi, I'm Aisha Sheikh. I am on the teachers panel. And I work at Ranelagh Primary School.
Claire, over to you.
Hello, I'm Claire Clinton and I'm the RE advisor. To everybody.
Shirley.
Shirley Fortune, Democratic Services, and I'm clerking this meeting.
My name's Marie Hardy. I'm a deputy head over at Brampton Primary School and I'm on the teachers panel.
Great, thanks.
Hi, I'm Donna Nomachi. I'm representing the teacher panel. I work at Ranelagh Primary School.
I'm also a teacher on the teachers panel and I work at St Stephen's.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chita Gandhi. I work at Vicarage Primary School at teachers panel.
Good evening, everybody. I'm a new councillor for Green Street West, Councillor Emma Verdi, and it's fantastic to be a part of this. So I look forward to providing as much insight as I can.
Good evening, my name is Pradeep Singh. I work as a Sikh priest and minister with Ramguriya Sikh Temple Neville Road. And also I work with Guy's Hospital as a healthcare chaplain.
Hi, my name is Charlie McLeod. I work at Cohen Primary School and I am on the teachers panel.
Hello, my name is Rex Sample. I'm the Met Police Faith Officer for the Borough of Newham for another 3 weeks.
Hi, my name's PC Tafail Ahmed. I'm going to be the Newham Faith Officer in 3 weeks on Wednesday.
We're now going to move online. So if I may start with you, Christiana.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Reverend Christiana Sinugo. This evening, I just want to do a bit more than introducing myself. I don't know if Claire has such in her on the agenda. I've come this evening just to thank everybody. That it's been a great privilege serving alongside you guys and under Claire's leadership. I've enjoyed being on the Church of England panel and working with all of you. I am going to retire from my work as the priest in charge or the vicar at St. Matthew's Church. And that means also I will be stepping down from being on the Church of England panel, and want to say thank you to all of you, and thank you to Claire for giving me the opportunity to serve with all of you. God bless you all and keep the good work going. I may not stay to the end, but I will zoom out at some point. Thank you. Thank you,
Christiana. Thank you. Looks like obviously Sarah, you're leaving.
Hello, I'm Sarah Heath and I'm a deputy head teacher at Plashet Secondary School and I'm on the teacher panel.
You, Ellen?
I'm Ellen Kemp. I'm a governor at 3 schools in Newham and I'm on the Church of England panel.
You, Katrina?
Sorry, I'm Katrina Martin. I work with RE Matters and I'm here visiting as part of a student RE, the student SACRE or student RE Matters.
Alicia?
Hi, I'm Alicia Lewis on the teacher panel and I train new RE teachers at the University of East London.
You, Akhtar?
Evening, everyone. My name is Akhtar Rauf and I represent the Sunni Muslim. Thank you.
Ruth?
Good evening, I'm Ruth Everett and I'm on the Church of England panel and my day job is Diocesan RE Advisor for the Diocese of Chelmsford and RE Lead. Thank you.
Thanks. And is there anyone else online who I can't see who hasn't introduced themselves? No? And
there's 12 participants, so yes, there will be. Shirley, are you able to see down the bottom of the list?
Yeah, I'm one of them as well, so.
Okay, you're one of them.
I'm 2 actually.
You're 2, okay.
3 extra people.
So we've had 7, so that means there's another 3 people who haven't said hi yet.
Yeah. Can you not do the other? Reverend Mangala.
Mangala.
Yeah.
He has a video off, yeah.
Robert's just coming to do some sweeping shots of us in the meeting, so just ignore Robert in the background.
You could just note his attendance, because
yeah.
And I think we missed one, so you didn't introduce yourself, did you? Right, well, yes, we went around the chamber, sorry, you were absent.
Hello, Jane Lofthouse, councillor.
I think that's everybody.
Lovely to have you with us.
Thank you, Claire. Lovely to be here.
Go on to management of business. So apologies for absence. Do we have any? I think we do.
Yes, Chair, I have a few. I have Pat McFarlane who teaches panel, Asma Hussain, Abba Faith, Zakwa Ali on the LEA governors.
I've also had a text message while I was in the other room, Shelley, from Pooja Rout. Yes, she's not able to be here, so sent her apologies.
Thank you.
And on to declarations of interest. We're all required to declare any interest. So if anyone has anything, can you just pipe up now, please? We'll take that as no conflicts. Thank you. And then on to minutes. The minutes are in the supplementary agenda item. I take the minutes as read. Does anybody have any queries or corrections that they wish to be made on the minutes from the last meeting?
Thank you.
Just give you a few more moments if you're quickly glancing through them.
Pradeep's name is not spelt correctly under number 2. Pretty deep.
Okay, if there's nothing else. I think we are over to Katrina and an update on.
Oh, good evening, everybody. Lovely to be with you all tonight. Actually, I'm not going to say an awful lot unless I've got any questions to take later. I'm really pleased to have with me Tahani, who is on our Student RE Matters exec. She's one of the co-chairs. She's from Azhar Academy. And she has come along tonight, and Tahani is going to give you our Student RE Matters report. So Tahani, if you're ready, over to you.
Hello, my name is Tahani and I'm a student at Azhar Academy Girls School. I'm also co-chair executive for Student Zachary. This year, you might remember we wanted to do a project about learning to be able to share about religion and worldviews with primary school pupils. Since we last reported to Zachary, we have met twice on March the 1st and May the 10th. Due to COVID, our first session was on March the 1st on Zoom, and we had students from Eastleigh and St. Bonaventures. During this session, we thought about what makes a great lesson. We heard from Mrs. Hardy, who gave us her top tips for delivering an RE lesson in a primary school. We then heard from Mrs. Clinton, who talked about measuring progress. And we heard from Miss Martin, who talked about different activities that we could use in a lesson. We then started to plan our lessons. On May the 10th, students from Azhar and Eastleigh met at Rangley Primary School. St. Bonaventure students had their Year 10 exams and talked through the lessons that we will be presenting in our local primary schools. It was great to be able to meet face-to-face again. During the session, we thought about different activities that would work well with primary pupils. We also thought about how we would work together in a team and the importance of feedback. Eastleigh are going to be delivering a lesson on food and fasting to years 1 and 2, and Azhar Academy are going to be delivering lessons on food and fasting to years 1 and 2 as well. St. Bonaventures delivered their first session on May the 17th to Year 5 at Elmshurst Primary. The topic was, what do religions and worldviews believe about God? One of the boys said that before the lesson, I was really nervous, but as soon as I started, I felt normal. The boys said that they learned the importance of providing engaging activities, and they are keen to teach another class. The lesson was well received by the pupils at Elmshurst, who said that they learned more about different religions and worldviews, which was good to hear. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.
So, Katrina and Tahani, we met again only this week, didn't we, on Monday?
Yes, we did actually, and that was really nice to be able to meet together at St. Bon's again, and for the and what was great was that the schools could all talk about the lessons that we were planning to do. And then they very bravely gave constructive feedback to each other on their lesson plans. We also had a great opportunity to learn from the boys from St. Bon's, from their experience, and to pick some top tips from them. Oh, thank you, Alexia, because obviously Alexia arranged this for us. So that's really good that they really enjoyed their lesson. And the boys really enjoyed teaching, and they're looking forward to teaching again. So, but what I was really impressed at was the maturity of the boys as they delivered, but also on Monday, just listening to Tahani and her peers from Azhar and the lesson that they've got planned. And also from the students from Eastleigh and the lesson that they've got planned. So they've been working really hard, and it's been a difficult year with having to do a mixture of hybrid meetings and meetings on Zoom. And it's been great to have had the few face-to-face ones that we've had. And we're looking forward to next year, when hopefully everything can be back to normal and we can have our face-to-face sessions throughout the year.
No, thank you. And Do you want to say what we're thinking of doing in terms of the topic next year? Because Katrina works with the exec, as I used to, and she's been doing that. So what were we thinking about next year potentially?
Well, what we're looking at is we're going to be looking at challenging stereotypes. So challenging religious and worldview stereotypes. And what we want to do is work together to produce some assemblies for primary and secondary students. So we're at the planning stage with the students. We were talking on Monday with Tahani and the others about ideas for really engaging interactive assemblies that we could do, and also for looking for examples of people who maybe have helped to break down some of the stereotypes that exist. So that's our plan for next year. So we may well be in touch with some of you, if not all of you, for some of support with that.
That's great. And Tahani, are you still there?
Yes.
If I could ask you a quick question, how has your view of teachers changed as a result of having to prepare and deliver a lesson?
Can you repeat the question, please?
I was saying, how has your view of teachers changed having had to prepare and deliver a lesson yourself?
Oh, I haven't actually presented my lesson to primary school students yet. We're planning to in a few weeks' time, but I look really excited. I'm really excited to prepare the lesson, and I can't wait.
Tahani, have you been surprised how much work it is just to do one lesson?
Yes.
Does it make
It's
you
amazing
feel-
how much teachers have to go through to prepare a lesson.
That was really what I was getting at.
Good luck with delivering
I thought you were.
Yeah. Their PowerPoint is amazing, isn't it, Katrina? Tahani's group. So we've learned.
That's what I was going to say.
Right.
Yes, the students have done marvellous jobs. The Azar PowerPoints were incredible. So myself and Claire were taking notes on how we can improve our presentations. But it's great to see the time that they've spent, and I think they do understand now quite what goes into producing engaging lessons for our students.
It was really lovely because the boys were really nervous before they did their lesson, and just on Monday, the confidence they've now got because they've gone and done it, and they really are keen to do it again. It's going to be brilliant in terms of life skills as well, apart from all the thinking they've done. So thank you, you two.
No, thank you. Thank you for having us, and we'll give a report when we next see you.
Look forward to it.
Thank you. We'll leave you now. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Brings us on to agenda item 8, and we welcome back Ross, who's going to present to us.
Yes, thank you. So I believe Claire wanted me to come and talk a little bit about my work and to see if there's appetite for some training that we discussed before. So to give you a bit of introduction and context to what I do. So I'm the Prevent Education Officer within the borough, and I've been working in Newham for just under 4 years now. And a lot of my work involves going into schools and delivering educational workshops, but also safeguarding workshops with staff as well. I'm seeing some familiar faces on the camera and around, so many of the teachers in the room might have met me in school as well. And essentially, it's a very specific form of safeguarding. So I deal with safeguarding individuals from being drawn into extremism and terrorism. So it's quite specific. But nonetheless, it's something that I think is really, really important. And Claire and I have had many discussions about this as well. In particular, what I'd like to speak to you about in a moment is about far-right extremism and the training that we offer around that, because I know there's been certainly some questions and concerns that have been raised in the past, and we'd be happy to sort of support really around that. But firstly, just to give you a bit of introduction as well, so in terms of what we do locally and what's actually going on, we have a network of community organisations that we work with locally called Pathways. And essentially what Pathways does is we believe that people get drawn into not just extremism, but into many other forms of sort of social exploitation because people lack a sense of belonging, they lack a sense of purpose, they lack a sense of identity, they lack access to social networks. And what we've found is that in addition to the more formal safeguarding support that we offer, if we link people up with community organisations locally, if they can walk to a community organisation, for example, like West Ham Foundation or Newham Music or Fight for Peace or any of the other great community organisations that we work with locally, that actually the young people that get involved with them can then begin to sort of get more of a sense of belonging, a sense of purpose, a sense of community, and they gravitate away from the groups that perhaps they used to associate with for those things. Okay, the more nefarious groups that unfortunately exploit young people and bring them in through those things. Okay, so typically then we find that this network has a really long-term way of succeeding to actually help young people in that sense. So additionally as well, we offer sort of mentoring support. So I'm working with students around Newham at the moment who are vulnerable to one form of extremism. I specialise in far-right extremism. My manager, Gafar, who Claire knows quite well, specialises in Islamist extremism. And so together we're very well placed to actually offer that mentoring support one-on-one to individuals as well. Now, in terms of far-right extremism, which is obviously, as I mentioned, where I specialised, we're more than happy as well, and this is, I think Claire predominantly brought me in for, to do a sort of workshop with the group if you feel like that would be useful. So in particular, I've delivered this in schools as well with teachers that have found this useful from a safeguarding perspective in terms of looking into the far right and what it actually means in practice. We go over the national threats, so in the UK as a whole, what are the trends with the far right, locally as well, the history in East London in relation to the far right and specifically Newham too, what actually can be done to reduce it, okay, and how people are drawn into it in practice from the personal stories that we've come across and how we've dealt with those individuals as well. And more generally too, the safeguarding support that's on offer. So if you came across something that you were concerned by, what could you actually do to help that process and to safeguard that individual and make sure that ultimately they had the support they needed to be safe, essentially. And that's the work that we do locally. So if that sounds like something that it would be useful, please do let myself and Claire know, and we can get a date in the diary, perhaps a training day that I think was discussed with Claire earlier. And hopefully that would be useful. But I'm happy to hear any thoughts or questions that you guys have in relation to that as well. Any questions at all? Yes, please.
That's something that's predominantly happening at this moment in time within Newham, within schools, or is it, where's it coming from? Is it grassroots or is it across the border?
So it's in far-right extremism in particular?
Yeah, or in general, everything, all of the things you mentioned.
Yes.
That's quite significant. That's like high on the list.
Yes. So it's something that it's important to be proportionate. I don't want to be alarmist or anything and say that it's happening everywhere all the time, nothing like that. But it is important to have a sense of scale that this does happen as well. And again, not to be alarmist, but it's important that you guys have the same information that I do. East London, for example, represents 25% of all terrorist-related offences that are committed. So it's important to have that sense of proportional vulnerability as well. But in relation to the far right, this tends to happen increasingly through the internet. So people will be sort of on online forums in particular on a modern basis. It's not like in the old days where you used to be handed out a leaflet in a pub or a football game. Increasingly, it's happening through the online world in which people are on forums like 8chan or 4chan and are through there then increasingly meeting with people, being drawn into the allure of that. And as I said, it's isolated people, it's people who lack a sense of belonging, who then seek that out through these other means. So that's how it tends to happen on a practical basis. Does that go some way to answering your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions at all? Yeah.
Yes, what age ranges do you work with?
So we work with all ages, depending on sort of vulnerability, and obviously different ages, you'll have different approaches in order to cater that to the needs that brings up. But in terms of the risk proportionally around age, the national statistics around sort of being drawn into terrorism and extremism typically mean that I think it's, if memory serves, 56% of referrals nationally, and this is referrals for safeguarding purposes. So it's not people who are criminals or who have been arrested. It's people who are vulnerable to being drawn into extremism. So this is the pre-criminal space. They're not criminals. That's 56% of those individuals who are referred for safeguarding purposes are aged 25 or under. Okay, so typically we're looking at young people. 87% are men as well, in terms of the most recent statistics that we've seen. So that should give you a sense of the safeguarding picture really, and who's vulnerable nationally. And Newham generally is consistent with that national picture. Okay.
So you really want to get to them before they start being vulnerable, in a sense, is that?
Exactly, that's the idea, and that's why we do so many workshops in schools as well, with young people and also with teachers too, because the education sector, I think, is a really key part of this. Yeah.
When you mention that a lot of it's coming from the likes of social media now, so then within these workshops, are you educating the profile people to say avoid these certain platforms as such, like in terms of, as Jane just mentioned, that it has to start from grassroots, for example, to stem out the problem. But then is that something that you've incorporated in the workshop, and are you educating people to say that avoid this? You have like a list of websites to say look out for and say don't cross this path. Is that something that you've integrated in the workshops?
Yeah, exactly.
Going to do, or?
Exactly, yes. So for the pupil workshops we deliver, so we do workshops in secondary schools and primary schools with year 5 and 6. So with years 5 and 6 in particular, we have a series of 3 workshops, and the final one is on online safety. And so in particular, we go over social media platforms, sort of using them safely more generally, ones to avoid as well. And that's carried through with the workshops we do with parents too. And parents play an absolutely key role here, because ultimately I think they are, aside from the child themselves and them having critical thinking, which is something we also touch on that's very important, aside from the critical thinking of the child themselves, the parents are really an excellent line of defence as well. And parents are really proactive in that sense, and are often very enthusiastic when they come to the workshops and want to know what's new, because it's a constantly evolving world. And so I sympathise with parents because it's sometimes difficult to keep up in that sense. But nonetheless, we do go over the different platforms. Yes, that's what we do.
So you've got the likes of, the things evolving, right? In terms of like TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, these are open platforms where people from the age of 13 can go on these and find this information, right? So it's just interesting to know that fact that these are being incorporated in these workshops going forward, the fact that a lot of parents won't know what their kids are on, because at the age of 13, you can openly go on these platforms, right? So I think that's something to obviously look into, basically, I think, going forward, the fact that from a teenager's perspective at a school age, if you're 13, a lot of parents won't know that their kids are on these platforms. So I think, I think to myself that it may be something to touch on if you're going into schools, that platforms like TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, you can make at the age of 13. So you can actually be drawn into at even an earlier age, right? Because obviously, if I go on platforms like Twitter and so forth, you can discover a lot of these things are there, right? So yeah, maybe something.
Shall I give you some really scary statistics?
Yes.
So over 52% of 3-year-olds go online for 9 hours a week.
Yep, I believe that.
I've got a quiz that I made. So 45% of 3 and 4-year-olds use YouTube.
Yep, open platforms, this is what I mean.
That goes up to 71% when they're aged 5 to 7. So it goes from that 50 to 70. And then 8 to 11-year-olds accessing internet and spending time on their screens. That's an average in a week of about 15 hours is the national average, which lots of kids don't have access to tools. So you can see some are obviously much higher when you've got an average. And 35% of 8-year-olds have their own phone. 47% of them have their own tablet. And most parents have no controls on either of those. I think it's 85% of those devices have no parental controls on them because the parents don't know how to do it.
Yeah, this is what I talk about in terms of it's something to, well, it's like how the workshops work, but you know, like parental controls, you can implement them on Google, right? You can actually put them in the measures so kids can't actually access certain portals. So same thing which I've got for my nieces, you know, if they want to use a tablet or a phone or the web, it will just shut down on them because I've installed parental controls on it. So maybe it's about upskilling and actually teaching.
Definitely. In the schools, a lot of programs for parents.
Yeah, I think there's something to take away, which obviously I'm not a parent myself.
Oh, this is the statistic I was looking for, is 23% of 8-year-olds have their own social media profile.
That's it.
And they're not legally allowed to until they're 13, are they? Sorry. I knew I had the statistics somewhere because I did this quiz.
It's right. I mean, just to sort of, in terms of what Ross saying, we've got a schools and youth team in the Met Police that we were working with secondary schools, but we found now that working with primary schools, we're pretty late by the time we're in secondary school. So we have got primary schools officers. I know they've got a project called Clever Never Goes in primary schools. And we are, schools officers are going into lessons and talking about online safety, especially with COVID, where we had kids at home for long periods of time, with the vulnerabilities there. So schools officers should be, even in Newham, should be going in and doing lessons around schools, app safety.
So the impact, you can see the impact. I'm in early years, and the things the children are coming out with and saying, when you say, how do you know this? They are saying, I'm on YouTube, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram. When you go to the parents and say, your child said they learnt this on Instagram, they're like, no, my child
my child doesn't.
They are oblivious. And I'm talking about things that 3 and 4 year olds should be seeing.
I mean, we're finding that it's more kids know about TikTok. When kids telling you about dark web, and you're like, dark web? How do kids know about dark web? So that's the wealth of some of the knowledge that some of the kids are gaining from online access.
I think just to wrap
off at a tangent.
I'm glad it's generated some discussion. I'm doing workshops in Avenue Primary sort of all week next week, for example. And so we go over a lot of this in detail, and especially when you speak to parents, it's amazing how much a small piece of knowledge can change things. For example, I spoke to a parent about setting screen time limits via sort of an Apple device, for example, and now they're in a position where they can literally set the timer so that it will shut the app off after a certain period of time, and that's helped them massively just to sort of set the agenda and make sure that sort of dinner's at a certain time and this is at a certain time, and to just give a bit of stability, really.
Their children hate you, but...
So maybe just to wrap up, if anyone wants to get in touch with you, Ross, or have further questions, what's the best way, directly or through Claire?
I mean, you can email me at ross.payton@newham.gov.uk, or equally, I'm sure Claire will be happy to pass on my details as well.
It's Payton, not patron.
Shirley, I found out who that person was. It was Yale from
yeah, I've seen that too.
Israel.
Oh, unfortunately, I can't. Just to let members know, I couldn't identify a user, and I asked them to identify themselves a couple of times, and I was mindful of. But a colleague of mine has had a big interruption at their live meeting, so I ejected them. But it means they can't get into this particular meeting again. So I'll send an email to apologise tomorrow.
We just didn't know who it was because there was no name and there was no screenshot, and Shirley had asked. So we're really sorry, Yale. She tried though. Yes. We're truly global, actually, with Israel, isn't it?
It came up as a funny, like the name had been cut off. It looked very suspicious. So apologies.
Well, I think we're on to item 9 now, Claire, which I think...
Yes, so the new agreed syllabus even looks different from the one I gave you. I ended up doing 19 iterations of said agreed syllabus. It is now at the printers, and it's going to be delivered next Monday when we're not there. So Taranum and Aisha, it might be at your school office rather than at the cottage, because if no one's in the cottage, it will go in. But I've worked really hard, and I'd like to publicly really interject and Zakir. And Zakir was taken on in the comms team this year as an apprentice. He finished at Lister last year, and he has come up with all these wonderful sort of logos. I've talked to him about ideas, and then he's sort of created things. So, you know, this one of layering over in different colours, symbols. So we've got that for every religion and worldview, main worldviews. And so some of it looks a little different from this. Like we have this on a whole page now. And at our launch, I've got 1,000 stickers. So we can sticker everybody. Yes. But he's been really, really good at listening to what I'm talking about and having a go. And it's been really lovely because he's been like, oh, I remember when I did that. And oh gosh, is that changing? Because of course he's just gone through doing his GCSEs. And he's like, oh, is this the new one? Yeah, so it's been a really lovely experience working with him. And also I should say thank you. I know Katrina's not here, and Marie have done a lot of proofreading and helping me with putting the text together. As you know, I'm dyslexic. If you ever get any emails from me, you'll know this already. Yes, you know, it's my biggest fear, Tough, is this sort of thing where it goes to print and I won't have seen the mistake, and then it's there for everyone to see. So and we've now, this back cover looks better. All of these logos are now sort of see-through as such, so they just appear as white. And yeah, I'll email you all now the updated one because it looks really, really lovely. And I got it today, this morning. So I'm really grateful to Marie and the whole team for helping with this, and for all of you for the part that you've played on it. We've got training coming up, not next week, the week after, on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We've got a day for primary schools on the Monday, day for early years providers and teachers on the Tuesday, and a day for secondary people on the Wednesday. And virtually every school is signed in bar 5, and my job this week is to have a word with head teachers. So we're down to the naughty 5 list, and everybody needs to be there. So that's my job now. My lovely PA, Georgina, has probably done everything she can do. Probably needs me to sort of collar a couple of people. There may be very good reasons. You just don't know them at this point. And so we did say if any SACRE members wanted to come to the training, Alicia's students and Alicia are coming to the secondary day, aren't you?
Yeah, we're looking forward to it very much. Thanks, Claire.
So, yes, so they're coming along, which would be great. So we're going to have a packed house for secondary because they'll be with Alicia as well. Yes, we've got, I'm just looking at Sarah, we've got Plashet will be there. So all our schools are there. So that'll be exciting. It's really nice for me because though we have the network meetings, there are some schools that don't ever come to the network meetings. So the one time every 5 years, you get everybody in the room. So it's actually a really nice, day. But if any of you want to attend or pop in at any point, I realise most of you are working and are teaching and can't, but there is that open invite for SACRE members if you want to come and see anything of the training and what we're doing. And of course, tonight, Robert and I are working tomorrow, Friday, to get this film finalised because he's off to Switzerland on Friday evening for the BBC all of next week. So he's not around. So that's why I was saying short answers, everybody, because we've got very small time to edit, and we'll get those films ready and I'll let you see those. So will be exciting as well. We've also got the launch, and I sent you a very sort of draft programme for the launch. I think we've got the choir. We have Yael and Joshua who are going to do Jewish prayer and blessing. We'll have the film from tonight. Now, we need to change things a little bit, don't we? Because it's now Ed and not Marie. She'll be delighted. Ed is now the chair. I think the mayor was talking about being there, but we're just trying to check. Anita is definitely there. Though she is moving on, I think, at the end of this term, which will be a shame because I feel like now we've just got going and know her and everything, but she's had an incredible opportunity and she's taken that. Chetna is coming and we're going to do a puja and a dance. Tahani and some of the student SACRE members are going to be there to talk about the importance of RE. So, Ed, I'll probably take you out of the humanist reflection if you're there as the chair. And yeah, okay, I'll have a think about that. And I haven't heard back from Venerable Mangala. He's there tonight, isn't he, from Sri Lanka? So, Shelley, are we able to type a question to him about whether he's back on the 23rd? Because then I can go and find another Buddhist if he's not around. Yep, that's fine. Pradeep is organising us either a bit of drumming or a hymn. So I think it's more likely to be Pradeep and his accordion, but I think I'd confused Pradeep earlier, and the drumming is not for tonight, so we knew we couldn't have the drumming tonight, but we'll see about the 23rd.
I'm still thinking what can be the better way to be. So I can actually perform, I can sing hymn and bring my tabla player, or maybe we can actually arrange, the traditional drum, and then let's see what will be the best.
We'll see what will be the best. It'll be exciting because we don't know. And then I put a thing against Taranum, Akhtar and Aisha to sort something between them, and I know they'll sort something between them. And then Anne, as our vice chair, would you, after I've done the closing thank yous, would you like to end us with a sort of go out type of blessing and whatever? How does that sound?
I think I manage that, yes. Thank you. But I'm not good at al fresco praying, so
no,
I'll have to think about it and have the words. Right, yes.
So I will get the invite finalised tonight, and Shirley and I are going to then work on getting this out. So I'll send you the invite. Please pass it on to people that you think it would be nice for them to be there. We'll have some children there. I've got a little treasure hunt that I've done for them and some stickers and some prizes. So, and we're hoping for some refreshments, aren't we, Shirley?
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Unlike tonight. Yeah. They were ordered. And yes, so there should be time for people to mill and have something to eat, and the pupils to do a find, or any other children that come can do a find. And then we've just got an hour and 10 minutes to do our formal launch. Is there anything I've missed that you think we should add? Yes.
Sarah here. I don't know if you've space or if it would be worth thinking about it, but we have a student who did an absolutely stonking presentation to the Parliamentary Roundtable on Religious Studies.
Wow.
Brilliant.
It was amazing. I don't know if you'd like her to.
Yes, let's have her, because the student SACPE people can always do something else.
Yeah. Okay,
Yes.
I'll speak to Kate. Kate organised it, so we'll have a conversation about that and get it organised.
Okay, brilliant, lovely. That'd be great. Thank you. Anything else, anyone? Okay.
Great.
I think that's it on the green. So there's a part to say, well done, everybody. It's a huge piece of work. And actually, the nicest thing of my experience was coming to the council a couple of times. Anne was there both times. And Jane was there as well when at Easter it was formally sort of ratified, wasn't it? And people were so kind and really wanted you all to know how grateful they are for the time and the care that we've taken of being inclusive and, you know, doing a really good process. So I should pass that on from the Mayor and the Cabinet, really. Though I know the Cabinet's changed since, but still, people were very, very kind about it, weren't they?
Thank you, Claire. You did a great job coordinating everything. And I think the end result really speaks for itself. So you did an excellent job. Great, on to Sacre priorities.
Final thing I should have said is I've printed enough that you can all have a copy. So you will have your copy. 6 years ago, we didn't have the budget for Sacre to have a copy as well as the schools. Put it into the.
You've got a CD-ROM.
Yeah.
But no one has a CD-ROM.
No, that's right. So you'll have it in hard print this time as well. So it's all going on a Google Drive this time. So as long as the internet stays up, we'll be fine. And then we're going to put it onto a USB. But some schools don't use USB. Do they? But we'll see. At the training, I'm going to ask them what they want. Well, what's lovely about our annual priorities is they're mainly, I mean, we're all greens and blues, aren't we? We're doing everything. There's nothing we're behind on. Well done, us. And all my money is secured for next year for my work, Sacre. That's been signed off this week by the council. And apparently I might even have a newham.gov.uk email address. I lost mine 12 years ago when I was made redundant for a while. And then the council brought me back. And they've never given me back. So when I email people in the council, it often goes into their spam. And so I have to get someone else to email them with me CC'd in so that so I've been asking for the last couple of years, could I have an email address, please? So I'm going to be given one.
Oh.
So, you know, small things, but should help. Any questions about any of those things?
No questions? Then on to item 11, the Sacre self-evaluation.
So this is our little bit of work for tonight. We need to have a little go at taking some of these areas and just thinking which one we sound more like. So we normally do this in mixed groups with people who are more experienced in Sacre and some of our new members who are less experienced in Sacre. So I'm just wondering if there was a group here with Anne and Ross and Aisha, and then if there's a group with Ed and Charlene and Jay and Rakesh and Tuff, this group here, then if there's a group with, bye Tana. It's all right, she has a big travel, so thank you for coming for the filming. Should we tell them what you're doing next year before you go? So I think I mentioned to you all, I got a new job in Easter holidays. So for the first time ever, I was telling Jane about this when we met in the park, there is now a director of RE for England and Wales. I am said director of RE for England and Wales over the 23,000 schools. And 1 day a week, easy job, not much to do in a day a week. But it does mean that I've got one day less to do the RE work in Newham. And so Sarah is up there. And Sarah and Lucy are going to be helping me out with secondary. And Taranum is going to join the team with Marie to help me with primary. So we want to say congratulations to Taranum and Sarah and Lucy. So,
but special congratulations to you, Claire.
Yes,
for this national post.
yeah. I'm a bit like, oh, still about it at the moment. But what I like about it is I'm supposed to grow it over the next 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And I hope that I can do that. And I hope what I was told after the interview is if I can get RE like here in other places in the country, that's what they'd like.
Right.
So not difficult.
No problem.
Just 155 other LAs and Wales as well. So, but yes, I couldn't have gone for it. I don't think I would have wanted it if it was a full-time job because I would have had to leave what I do here. So actually what I like about the fact is that I'm still here and I'm able to have a go at envisaging something. So we'll see how I get on. At the moment, I'm just getting lots of congratulations, you'll be great. But that's easy because I haven't done anything or failed. So we wait and see, don't we, Marie?
But as Ruth said in a message I don't think you saw, but we're all here to support you, Claire, so you can always...
Thank you. Yeah, it does.
When it comes to the trips, yeah.
So I got group 1, I got group 2. Then if Amal, if you come and work with Jo, and then Pradeep, if you come and work with Marie, we've got 4 groups. So what we'll do is we'll do section 1 together, and then we'll each take a different section and we'll read through and think, and then we'll feed back where we thought. Is that all right? So it needs somebody in your group to have a physical copy or a copy online so that you can see. So the first area is about management of SACRE in partnership with the LA. And just to give you a clue, we usually established in advance, but let's just go through and check. And can I just say that I spent hours rewriting this thing with a couple of other colleagues nationally for the SACRE on the exec. So it's really good to actually see it being used. So first of all, professional and financial support. Have a read through, requires improvement, developing, established and advanced on page 99 and 100.
Online then, is that page 5 of the document?
It is. Page 99, you said.
Page 99.
Okay, we're gonna do these ones all together, number 1s, all right? So, and then we'll get into our groups in areas. But what do we think? Do we think we're advanced on that?
Yes.
I would say we're clearly advanced.
Go straight to
because everything's costed.
Yeah.
And I think we have a really good relationship with the LA. So Shirley, I think we would go tick advanced. And where are we and where do we find evidence? Well, we've just got everything that it says in advanced. So I think we can put words in advanced. Okay, SACRE meetings.
We're very much advanced.
We're always corporate, so that immediately takes us to developed or advanced. Do you want to have a read of those? Sorry, established or advanced.
Established, isn't it? What are the 4?
Yeah.
What we'll do, everyone online, we'll put you into a breakout room together, and then you can do the other areas as well. Is that all right?
Yeah, I think so.
Rather than watching us here. And thank you for putting your comments in the chat though.
Yeah, advanced stuff.
Yeah.
What do we think?
Advanced. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say we're advanced.
Yes. We're so advanced.
We are.
We're sort of ahead of advance.
1C, membership and training.
Yeah.
What do we think?
Advanced.
I'll give the benefit of the doubt and say advanced, right?
Yeah. So, for instance, if we take Amal as an example coming on, actually, once I've got your email, the stuff that you can go on as well. But you had an email from me, didn't you, sort of last week or the week before? I can't remember when I wrote it because everything blurs in my life sometimes. But it was talking about some training that you can go on later in June.
Yep.
About being a new member to a SACRE.
Yeah, I did read that. I was just trying to get to the bottom of what do you do in the training? What's it about?
Yeah, so it's the national, so I sit on a national executive for SACREs.
Yeah.
And what we do is we do the June training, particularly for all the new councillors who often get appointed from May. But anybody else who's joined can come, and we do it again in September. And what it does is it goes through all the legalities of SACRE, so you understand what SACRE is there for, what it's not there for, what it can do, what it can't do, what the LA has to do. So sometimes we recommend to the LA, but the LA has to do it, we can't do it. So it's just to help people understand. But someone like Pradeep, I would invite Pradeep to go on that, because as a new member of SACRE, again, it just helps you to understand your role as a councillor or your role as a faith representative for your community. And the councillor role is so important on SACRE because you're the public voice. You've been elected. So I know everybody has different views themselves, but it's also making sure that that public voice is in the midst of things is really important.
So you said I can extend that invite to anybody? Can I extend that invite for the training? Can I extend it to anybody?
Anybody who's on SACRE, on a SACRE.
So it can't be any external?
Yeah. So it's really for people who are on SACREs.
Right.
And then I organise nationally for NSACRE a monthly webinar programme. And so then you'll get the programme for next year. And then any of us can go at any point to anything that interests us. Again, so what I've done is I've changed what we were doing here into a national programme, basically. Made no difference and seemed to make better use of my time and help other people. Because so many SACREs don't have any training or anything to help them.
Yeah, I was thinking about how's this going to expand then, in terms of like, we've got X amount of people here.
Yeah, so we have 39 people on our SACRE. We're the largest SACRE in the whole of the UK.
Yeah, is that something that you want to expand? Because that's my question in terms of like, if you want to get, obviously it's fundamentally important ourselves are here, but if you want to get real, you know, feedback from residents as such, which have a lot more knowledge of, say, for example, subject matters of religion and what goes on their place of worship, is that something that you're working towards? Because I feel as if, yeah, fundamentally, like, obviously there's a lot of faith leaders here. Obviously I'm a counsellor, but everybody's way of sort of looking at religion is fundamentally different. And I think that maybe going forward is, I don't know what the remit is, but if it is more inclusive for residents to get involved, because I'm sure there'll be a load of people that want to be part of this, because for me, fundamentally, this is about, as you said, being diverse, and it sort of broadening this. I think that's the bigger picture. So I don't know if like you've got remit, so I could, you know, we could do.
We will send you
people that want to join.
Shelley, we've got an updated terms of reference and code of conduct. So we'll make sure everybody gets the new one of those, because that gives you our remit and what the council gives us to do. And it also has the law of the land in terms of the government around SACRE. So the idea is that people here are conduits to go back and talk with other people and bring views or issues or things that are important. So if we go back to the summer, we had a lot going on in our schools around Israel and Palestine, okay? And lots of upset around all sorts of things. And actually SACRE were really helpful in going out and listening to different people in parts of the community and being that conduit to come back, so that people like Ross and Gafar and I could then write advice to. I mean, Sarah was brilliant, because I wrote my advice, Sarah, didn't I? And I sent it to you. You know, for her to have a look through as a deputy head, is this what's going to help you with how to handle this? So officially, SACRE is supposed to be about RE lessons in schools. Yeah. We monitor that in schools, and officially we monitor collective worship. So daily acts of worship where pupils are asked to reflect or to pray in a relevant way for them in schools. That's our remit as a SACRE. But actually Newham SACRE is unusual, because we do advice on Ramadan, on visiting places of worship. We run a place of worship competition for pupils. We do advice. So this last year we did this big piece of advice on Israel and Palestine. In the pandemic, we did advice around teaching RE in the home. We did some helps for schools. We did collective worship. So all the time we're trying to do what you're saying. If there's an issue in our community, and all of us of different parts of the community, so you can have up to so many reps on each group, but it's an open meeting, so anybody can always come. But we're here as representatives to be those conduits backwards and forwards. Does that?
Yeah, I was just thinking about, obviously there's opportunity to upskill a lot of residents that would have an interest in this. That's the way
Well, it's all about RE in schools. And
yeah, of course, but I mean, obviously parents have an influence of that, don't they, as well, right?
And that's why we've got people who are parents as part of the SACRE who've had kids in our Newham schools. So we're always trying to be quite clever as to who we have. But one of the things that a recent report that we looked at our last meeting was saying, so tonight Saquat's not here, who's one of our governor reps, who sits on the LA group, the same as your group. And the reason we have a governor rep is so that we've got that voice of parents in the mix of things. But there's no reason why we couldn't have somebody else or somebody different in a different way.
Yeah, that's
so always.
I'm trying to say that. Obviously, if you've got 39, what's stopping? Like the population is increasing. Obviously, there's that much, and there's that many people that can be involved in this that have a lot of ideas. So I was thinking that, what's stopping it going from 39 to 100?
Practically, I suppose it's how you manage a meeting that large, because at the moment you're seeing a small meeting because of the pandemic, people are here. And actually for this meeting, we've had loads of apologies as opposed to what we normally have. So I think there's also the practical thing of how do you have an action meeting where you're doing things. If it's too big, then you can't, is our problem. So you want as many people, which is why we have teachers representing primary and secondary schools. We have faith leaders and faith representatives. We have the counsellors. And all of those people together are trying to keep this watching brief around issues around sort of religious education in our schools and collective worship. It's not that we can't be useful in other ways. I think we can.
Yeah.
But yeah, do the training. Once you've got the law, then you'll start thinking.
I did read the code of conduct before.
Yeah.
Get a better, obviously in terms of how is this going to evolve? Like in terms of with any sort of forum, you think that what's the next process? I'm thinking about what's the continuation of it? Like you said,
yeah, well, the next thing for SACREs is that they might not exist in 7 years' time.
Right.
The government's white paper doesn't give the LA any role in education apart from admissions to schools in 7 years' time, and every school will be part of a multi-academy trust. And multi-academy trusts don't have to do what we provide.
Yes, I mean, then what, if you look at, if that's the measure in 7 years.
That's why I've been appointed the National Director of RE. That's part of my job for the next 5 years, is to work with government to work how we go forward. Because government has said that they want SACRAs in some form to continue.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So it's trying to work out where they get placed. If it's not within LA, where is that public voice? How does that work? And no one's got the answer yet.
Yeah, this was about in terms of.
Yeah, I think we're actually getting a little bit sidetracked, and in the interest of time, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think we have to people have got to get home.
Yeah, that's fine. Right, so did we decide we were advanced or established? Advanced.
Advanced.
Okay, right.
Everything.
So are we able to put the rest of the people into a breakout room who are on Zoom?
Doing it now.
And can they have a look at the rest of number 1, please?
Oh, we'll discuss that.
Then this group here, Anne, Ross, can you do section 2?
Yeah.
Then Ed, can you do number 3?
Section 2.
And then I know you're mixing up now, but Pradeep and so Joe, Chetna and Amal, if you do 4, and then you do 5. Okay, we have 10 minutes and then we'll come back together.
Yeah, sure. Around, I'll come there.
And Chair and Sacre, just for the people who may be listening on YouTube, I'm going
should we
to put
take off our?
I'm putting it on the room on mute and stopping the video.
For a line, you guys are just a little bit of a involved in that side of Sacre.
Just on with the work now.
I suppose you can see it from the
Rather scary, isn't it? Or for 5 years or something. Back to Ed.
Oh, okay, back to me. So we've done part one, and is it group, were you doing part two?
Yes, we were.
So people on the Zoom were finishing off one.
Okay.
If you say 1D, 1E, whatever, then they'll tell you which one and mark it off.
Okay, excellent. Okay, sorry, so we'll start. Is someone online willing to speak on behalf? Okay, thank you, Sarah. So the ones we did were
ABC.
ABC, yes. So we're on to 1D, improvement development planning.
We agreed that we were advanced.
Okay. And 1E, information and advice, sorry.
Advanced.
Okay, great. 1F, partnerships and key stakeholders.
Again, we agreed that we were advanced.
Okay, 1G, relations with the academies sector.
And again, we agreed that we were advanced.
Okay. Any other comments?
There were two things to note, really. We talked about whether we felt there was a gap in representation from the Key Stage 5 sector. We also talked a little bit about further education, but we obviously have Alicia here from UEL. And we talked a little bit about how our monitoring does reach out to academies and is very thorough in that respect. But as the only secondary representative, I'm from a local authority maintained school. But again, we think there's lots and lots of contact backwards and forwards with our secondary academies through the monitoring work that we do and through the use of the Newham Agreed syllabus. And, you know, we were talking about the launch earlier, for example. Everybody will be there.
Great, thank you. And if we could do the group doing questions or the key areas too. So I have 2A.
Well, with all due modesty, we think we're advanced in everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And our only thing was we were just talking at the very end about the business of academies. And as I understand it, Claire, please put me right if I'm wrong, of course. Academies are quite keen to take what we offer because of its quality. So there we are, point made, QED.
And we have academies represented on SACRE, which is unlike most SACREs. So we've ensured that we have good relationship with all our academies as well.
Well, on to key area 3, we were rather unimaginative in assessing ourselves advanced in every topic. We were really nitpicking. I think one thing we will question, but maybe you probably got a good answer for this, was in terms of involving the wider community with the strong media coverage. Exactly, what's been done on that front? Okay, right, 0. So I think that.
Well, I'm being unfair now, aren't I? We do get quite a few bits into Newham Recorder. A lot of the schools, when they do something in RE, and so those articles go into the Newham Recorder. But I have to say the Newham Recorder sort of slightly grown every time I send them something, because it's quite a lot that goes their way. But yes, so I wouldn't say national press, but I would say in terms of local press, we have a good regular presence.
Okay, that's great. And then the other bit I think may be worth mentioning, it was all about making best use of national guidance. But it seems you are national guidance. So,
We are it.
Anything I missed?
No.
Okay, great. Well, we're on to key area 4.
That was us.
Yep.
Okay, just to follow the trend, advanced. There's only 3 sections.
Yeah, we only had 3 sections, so yes.
I do think we have got an action point here, though, is that one, the LA has asked me to review our prayer advice group advice, and there's been a few issues with parents demanding prayer facilities. And actually it puts schools in quite a tricky position. This is secondary, because obviously it wouldn't be relevant at primary, because it isn't something that schools are funded for. And actually teachers have a right to a lunchtime. And it's all quite tricky. Anyway, the advice that we have as a SACRE was written by Catherine Wright 20 years ago, just before I started, and it has served us really well. But they have said that really that should be updated. So I was thinking one of our priorities next year would be to work on that. I'll work on something and bring it. And it's an opportunity for that to go out to communities, and because I think in talking to some of the parents where this has come up, they don't understand a school system. And of course they can come and take their child and take them home if they want to do certain things at lunchtime with said child or young person. But of course many of them are working now. So they don't want to come to school and get their child and take them home to do. They want the school to provide it, but it does get tricky. And we have had a situation at a London Academy of Excellence where, though there were prayer facilities provided, some pupils didn't like the walk to them, and have caused a very big thing in social media about how this has been Islamophobic and all sorts of things. And actually, I think that's really hard for that academy, who have really listened. And our previous student SACRE chair is a sixth former there. And she got in touch with me to say, Claire, I'm so upset with what some of my fellow Muslims are saying on this one. It's outrageous and it's not true. The school has done everything. They are talking to us. They want to help us, but they've got limitations because it's not a school building.
No, it's not.
So I think the time is right. I did a little survey amongst head teachers to find out what was going, and there's all sorts of practice going on in our secondary schools, and I don't think all of it is quite fully thought through. Sorry, Ed, you can't see Rakesh is behind you putting his hand up.
I was going to say, Claire, that's the #1 email I sent you from the community, and it is around prayer. So updated guidance around that would have probably helped me, or tough now, because we do have to deal with the fallout from it, especially when there isn't a prayer room and we've got kids using Central Park. So we have to deal with the issue. So that updated guidance would actually help us.
Yeah.
Can I just say something? So we got some messages as well about prayer room in the primary school, but leading to that, you need an adult to look after them, and there's lots of other things which get involved. So a teacher needs to be on duty to look after them. How many children can you in one room, because there's not enough space anyway in the old buildings, and to find that's difficult as well. So we did hear rumors going around, but
so I think that would be timely for next year. And
that's something we should add to next year's priorities.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason of doing this, is so that we pick up those. And the other thing is our advice that we last wrote on collective worship was 2015. And what I'm doing, which I think I've been a little bit clever with, even if I say so myself, is I've got funding from Barking and Dagenham Council to review our Newham advice for their schools. And then we will take how it's improved and have a look at that and then publish our own. So we haven't charged them, but they're going to pay me to make it for them, which allows me to review it, which then allows me to bring it back here, which I thought was quite clever.
Yes, that was very good. Very good. Win-win situation.
Yes, I think it is a win-win situation. So, and remember, they've picked up our Ramadan advice and Israel-Palestine advice. They pick up all sorts of things that Newham pays for me to do, and then they can change it a little bit and they've got it immediately. So I felt this was the other direction, to be fair. Yes. We will next year start the process of looking to that advice for schools.
Good. Thank you. Section 5, about promoting cohesion across the community.
So we thought that we were advanced in all areas. We started to make some notes about where we find that evidence. So like our membership list. I know there's succession planning in place behind the scenes to always ensure that there is diversity across our membership. But we could maybe talk a little bit more about the faith work that goes on as well, that perhaps some people don't know about.
So maybe we ought to have a standing item, as we have Anne as part of that, Shirley. Maybe we need a sort of standing item on interfaith in Newham. That would be nice.
Yeah. And the other thing was, I don't know if the information from the census has come out.
No.
So when that does, that'll be really interesting to look at and just make sure.
Yeah, we had to hold that over from our previous meeting because it was supposed to be out. And I'm really frustrated that the stuff that we've printed will be 2011 still. But what we can do is online. I've agreed with comms that we could go back to them when that new stuff has come out over the summer. We'll update those 2 pages. And we'll send an update to the schools, and then online it will be up to date.
Yeah, right.
Thank you. And that, is there anything else you wanted to add?
No. She covered everything.
Great. Well, we're advanced.
We are advanced. I would concur. When I wrote these descriptions, I was thinking of us. So.
It does sound like describing you in the background.
It's almost made for us.
And is this something we feed back to NASACRE?
So what will happen is Shirley in the minutes will say where we're at, and then those points that have been brought up will help us towards our action points next year.
Right. Thank you. So that's item 11 done. So item 12 is the place of worship competition.
Yes. I was trying to see how many online that we've got within our Google Drive, because Georgina has had everything sent to her, and so I can't see them, and I'm just wondering if she's put them in my drive rather than the shared drive. It could well be. But anyway, she says we've got lots in there. She doesn't say how many schools. I was trying to see how many schools we actually had who have uploaded. But I start with, I know, I think Ellen might have said that she was able to help. And I can't remember, Ruth's diary is always full, but I do remember you two thinking about it. But I've got Friday morning this week on Zoom. If anybody wants to join me to do some judging, any of our new members wants to see some work that people have produced. So we've got a prize giving happening on the 14th of July. So not only have we got the 23rd here in a couple of weeks for our launch of our green syllabus, we've also got the prize giving on the 14th of July. It will be sort of after school. And I don't know which school it is until we see who wins the most prizes. But I would love SACPRE members to come and award the certificates and hand over the prizes and stick children with stickers. So we always use Newham Bookshop vouchers for them so that we're supporting the local bookshop. And the bookshop love it because we get them specially printed with the POW stuff on it for them. And they go in so they know it's one of their winners, and they make a really big deal of their winning, and they often come away with a bit more than they should do. So really grateful for that partnership with Newham Bookshop as well.
Just a question about what time you're starting on Friday on there.
So I have got on my list from 9 till 11 in my diary. So I can send out the Zoom link. Are the people interested online behind me?
Yeah. In the chat.
So Ruth and Ellen, do you want the link or not? Yes, Ruth. Ellen, yes. Okay. Anybody else want the link? Otherwise, I'll just send it to Ruth and Ellen. Everyone else is working, teaching. Right, I'll do that. Thank you.
Great. Then item 13 is items for information. I think you've discussed the agreed syllabus launch programme already.
Yes.
RE report card.
Yes, I don't know if you've had a look at those, but this is nationally, again, trying to just take all the data that we have, and NSACRE is looking to do one around SACREs as well, because we've got quite a lot of data. But, you know, a national look at performance in religious education, thinking about RE in society, school performance, government performance, and the future of RE. So I think they're quite nice, ethnographic-y overview summaries, aren't they, of what's going on at the moment. Do you think we should do anything with them? I put them in because they've just come out, and I just thought I'll add them to SACRE.
Yeah, well, they certainly look very nice, don't they?
They look great.
I was thinking I could send them out to schools. Yeah.
That sounds good.
And also, could we use them in any way at the launch? You know, just have them available, or
yes,
put them round,
yeah,
people to look at.
Yes.
What else could we do?
I mean, the thing is, government is a big thing. So, I mean, it's a good news, isn't it? You know, we've got increased GCSEs going on. We know that as Newham. So, you know, children do generally well in RE. And what was interesting is that 2/3 of adults saying it's important to understand the beliefs of others. That's helpful. Ed, you might be able to get some of these facts into your bit, because that'd be quite good, wasn't it, about what parents have said. But notice 34% of academies know timetabled RE. Now that's not true in Newham.
No.
But nationally.
Yeah.
Now there's RE if every school's an academy. But zero spend on RE between 2016 and 2021. And there you've got the spends on English, music, maths and science. I have a meeting on the 7th of July with the DFE talking about funding for RE. But, you know, there's a real problem. 25% of RE lessons are taught by teachers with no post-A-level qualification in the subject. That's looking at secondary schools, not thinking about primary schools. And ultimately, we've had 20 years where there's no RE funding from government. So we're due. We're due to be highlighted.
They are.
And I really like the quote by Peter Bottomley. So I don't know whether we could get that somewhere, but it says, in neglecting religious education, we leave a gaping hole in our school curriculum. It leaves young people unprepared for ethical, moral and religious debates that influence life in modern Britain and the wider world. Put simply, we miss an opportunity to positively enhance our children and our society's future.
So true.
Yeah, and how many other school syllabuses require so much volunteer effort to get prepared?
Well, nothing else is like this, is it? It's unique in that actually allowing local people to have a voice into a syllabus. That doesn't happen for maths or English or geography or history or anything else. So we are unique. It has its problems in being unique as well. Thank you.
these statistics are really surprising. No wonder why children are actually more inclined towards TikTok, because they're spending much more money in music than science. And for zero for religious education, it is really surprising.
Shocking, isn't it?
I think, few of our representatives, they should approach government and ask for fund.
Yeah, Stephen Timms, our MP, is brilliant. He leads the all-party parliamentary committee on RE.
Yes.
And Peter Bottomley has set up this new commission, which is what Sarah was talking about. Their young person going to Parliament and talking about the importance of RE to this committee as well. So we should say Sir Stephen Timms now, shouldn't we? But Stephen has been really, really good at, in the nicest way possible, being a thorn in government's side. I think his own government, as well as the opposition's government, around funding to do with RE. But you're right, if we could get more and more people, not just the politicians, but that we're getting all sorts of people saying it, that's how it works.
Okay. Is there any part Queen can play, like if we approach her?
She's not allowed to. It's poor Anne can tell you more about what the Queen can and can't do, because
Well, what the Queen's been doing, which I think is brilliant, is talking about faith, talking more about faith, for example, in her Christmas broadcast. But I think what's come out, particularly with the Platinum Jubilee, is that she made a vow for her vocation all those years ago, and she's lived it. She's actually done it, rather than just talk about it like the rest of us. she's done it, and done it brilliantly, I think.
Great. So on to 14, we've got the date for future meetings, which I seem to already have them all, so I don't know if I've already agreed.
What's the next one? 12
you get here as early as you like, but basically from 4:30 to 6 is the 23rd of June. And then the others will be our normal 7 to 8:45.
So 12th of October.
Madam Chair, for the next ordinary meeting on the 12th of October, you need to agree a venue?
We need to agree a venue. So where are we in the rotation?
Well, in the rotation, we haven't been doing it because of, if we come here or Stratford Town Hall, it means that we've got all this amazing kit and hybrid works really well. So hybrid's going to be a bit more tricky if we're not in the council buildings, though I understand the desire to go to a school and to a place of worship.
Mm-hmm. And are we allowed to keep doing hybrid?
Yes.
We are.
Yeah, legally we are.
It probably makes sense while we're allowed to keep doing hybrid to.
Then this room, October?
Yeah. Are we happy to come here?
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm going to offer you the mosque, but
it's the hybrid bit is the tough bit. I'm working on it. Tried out an owl yesterday. I found the limitations of the owl yesterday at the RE network meeting. So I'm now working on how we can advance the owl. If I have got a portable system that works, then we can go anywhere. And as long as I've got my portable system, it'll work.
Well, that'd be handy.
But at the moment, I haven't got my portable system.
The only other business which the chair considers urgent is, once again, to Marie, to thank her for all her hard work.
She's done 5 years service, which is a long time.
Thank you.
You have to show us what you get.
Yeah.
Great, thank you very much.